Let us pray. Lord, by the power of your Spirit, reveal to us your word. Let us be a holy temple built on Christ, our sure foundation. Amen.
A reading from Matthew 6, verses 1 through 18. Listen to what the Spirit is saying to you, the church. Beware of practicing your piety before others in order to be seen by them, for then you have no reward from your Father in heaven. So whenever you give alms, do not sound a trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, so that they may be praised by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you give alms, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your alms may be done in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. And whenever you pray, do not be like the hypocrites, for they love to stand and pray in the synagogues and at the street corners, so that they may be seen by others. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But whoever you pray, or whenever you pray, go into your room and shut the door and pray to your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. When you are praying, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Pray then in this way: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And do not bring us to the time of trial, but rescue us from the evil one. For if you forgive others their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. And whenever you fast, do not look dismal like the hypocrites, for they disfigure their faces, so that as to show the others that they are fasting. Truly, I tell you, they have received their reward. But when you fast, put oil on your head and wash your face, so that your fasting may be seen not by others, but by your Father who is in secret. And your Father who sees in secret will reward you. This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
Well, welcome again to Westminster Presbyterian Church on this third Sunday of Lent. We have a bit of a tension with today's text as it relates to texts that we read last week and the week before. Remember that over the past few weeks we have been talking about being the light of the world, have we not? We have been talking about being the light of the world, being the city on the hill, being the example. And then today, the first word that Margaret read for us, if I might just read that first verse, Matthew chapter 6, verse 1. beware of practicing your piety before others. Wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to be a city on a hill. I thought we were supposed to be an example. I thought we were supposed to let our light, what now? Shine. I thought we were supposed to show something to others in the world. Here in this 6th chapter, Jesus is saying, okay, now you're supposed to be a light to the world, a city on a hill. But then he says, be very careful. Be very careful about practicing your light, practicing your piety before people. Be very careful about that. So I would like to know, maybe you don't, but I would like to know, which way are we going here? Jinan, would you like to know? Sure you would. Thank you. Which way? Are we supposed to be a city on a hill, an example, attractive? Or are we supposed to be quiet, secret, not seen? This is part of the same sermon that Jesus is preaching. What are we supposed to do? So that's the question I want us to think about today. He says, be very careful. It turns out that there are 3 habits, we might call them, 3 disciplines of the Jewish people that Jesus expected his followers to follow, to continue. He says, whenever you give alms, whenever you pray, whenever you fast. So the first thing to be said was that these are habits, these are disciplines that Jesus intended for his disciples to continue. Is this an exhaustive list? No. This is not an exhaustive list, but the Jews had these 3 that was a staple. There are lots of other disciplines, okay? So Jesus does expect us to engage in disciplines. What exactly is a discipline, by the way? What is it? In our book, the road book that we've been reading, the particular chapter we worked on this week has a definition of what a discipline is. And pretty much this is it. A discipline is something that you do now because you are able to do it. And as you do it over time, you are then able to do something you are not able to do right now. That's a discipline. Something that you practice, something that you do, which is within your power to do, in order that over time you're able to do that which is beyond your power to do right now. For example, running a marathon, 26 and something miles. That's a marathon. It's serious work. Now, if we lined up outside, I, of course, would not be one of them. I would be watching with pom-poms in hand, cheering you guys on. Go! Not very many of us will last very long. Why? We haven't trained for it. We haven't trained for it. We have not disciplined ourselves in that journey. So it's not something we're able to do. But many of us, if we started, and little by little, not even by running, by just walking, if we just walked half a mile today and walked another half a mile next week, and maybe little by little, the training over time, who knows, we might even be able to run a marathon. That's the idea. That's the idea. So the discipline is the training. And Jesus said, I do expect you to engage in discipline, in practice. So at church here, we have 3 practices we talk about every Sunday, don't we? We have 3 practices. We have, what is it? Praying, we have serving, and we have what? Connecting. Those are practices. How many times have we talked about prayer and somebody says, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know how to pray. That's fine. It's a discipline. It's a discipline. You start and you keep moving. It's a discipline. Don't use that as an excuse to sit on the corner. Serving. Oh, I don't know if I have any gifts. Okay, it's all right. We'll help you find what you have and develop it and start serving. Start using it. It's a discipline. We're not supposed to be perfect the first day. Connecting. Oh, I don't know. I'm new here. People have been here for 60 years, 70 years, and I just got here. How do I connect? Do not fear. They'll make room for you. Get started. Get invited to this event and that event, and pretty soon you have a phone number or 2, and you're talking with people. They see you. They remember you by name. I missed you. And you say, I missed you too. I'm glad to be here. And you connect and you work on it. And pretty soon you're going out for meals. And hey, you might even be invited to serve together somewhere. And then you're connecting and serving at the same time. Oh my word. And even a prayer might be thrown in there. You got all 3 disciplines going on at the same time. It's a practice. It's a practice. And Jesus says, whenever. So we are expected, encouraged, challenged to engage in the practice. We're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for something else. That's the first thing. Jesus expects his followers to engage in the practices, in disciplines. That's the first thing. Here's the second thing that I have found I want to share with you today. The whole work of discipline is a gift of grace. The whole thing is a gift of grace. It's a gift of grace. And what that means is this: the desire to engage in the practice comes from God. The fortitude to stay with it when it gets difficult comes from God. The whole thing is a gift to begin with. You know what this means? This means there will never be a time when either you or I is well positioned to look down our noses on other people in judgment because they are not well disciplined. See that? Because the whole thing is a gift. The whole thing is a gift. Of course, you give yourself to it, you're open to it, you allow God to work through you, but you remember the whole thing is a gift anyway. So engage in the discipline, number 1. Number 2, it is a gift. Number 3. And this one, I was a little bit taken aback when Jesus brought it up. I've tried not to bring it up, but he won't let me let it go. So here it is. There is a reward. What? I thought we weren't supposed to be talking about rewards. Did you listen to the text? There is a reward. He says, when you pray, go into the secret chamber, and your Father who hears in secret will what? Reward you. There is a reward. There is a reward. There is. Okay. So we can relax. I thought it was just me. We were at the playground many years ago when our children were little. And these kids are always saying, "Watch me, watch this, watch me, Daddy, watch me." And one of them, I'm not going to name names, working his way on the monkey bars. "Watch this, Daddy, watch this." It turns out this "watch me, watch this" thing, we do not outgrow it. We do not outgrow it. The audience changes, but this idea of "watch me, watch this," we do not outgrow it. And Jesus is tapping into that and saying, move your audience from people to your Father who sees in secret. There is a reward. What exactly is the reward? Well, it depends on where it's coming from. If we practice our piety or our discipline in public so that others may see us and applaud and think of how awesome we are, that's our reward, Jesus says. That's our reward. There is a reward, and that's your reward, Jesus says. It's immediate, it's loud, and it's over. That's it. That's your reward. And there's a term in the Greek that I have to bring up so that we can capture it. See, when a bill is paid in full, they would put a stamp on it that says paid in full. Paid in full. It's settled. That term is used in this passage. When you receive that reward of applause and how great and awesome you are, because we practice our discipline in front of people so that they may praise us. If that's our motive, Jesus says, paid in full. Stamped. There is a reward. But it says, if you practice in secret. What does it mean to practice in secret exactly? I mean, what are we talking about? Well, this is Kansas, and every once in a while, God forbid, there is a tornado, correct? I mean, we all know this. When there is a tornado, we've been encouraged to go into, if you have a bunker, go into the bunker, or go into that inner chamber, inner room in the house. The thing about that inner room in the house is that it does not have any direct exit outside. It doesn't have doors or windows that directly look outside. That's what makes it an inner place. So that's the secret place Jesus is talking about. Go into that place where it's not possible that this particular practice becomes a show. Not possible for it to be a show. Because if it's not possible for it to be a show, then it's not possible for people to clap their hands for you. And it's as if anytime we put up a show for other people, God goes blind. I don't see that. I don't see that. Paid in full. You've got your reward, that's it. But if we come at it from a secret place, where our motive is not applause, then God, who sees in secret, will reward us. What exactly is that reward that God is talking about? Can I make a suggestion? The reward begins right now, and it is the relationship itself. The reward is the relationship itself. We had the awesome event yesterday of celebrating the wedding of Jim and Deborah. Some of you were here. And we began that message with an apology, right? And it wasn't because we are playing one-upsmanship. when you have a relationship in which you can afford to be vulnerable with one another, the reward is not a trinket somebody pins on your chest. The reward is the relationship itself. The purity of it, the honesty of it, the freedom of it. You can call each other names that other people might take offense at, but it's the two of you and you know what you have, and it's much deeper than a little name calling. The relationship itself, that's the reward. That's the reward. So that it's much bigger, much deeper, much bigger than what's on the surface. People applauding you and me. And they line the hallways and sing, "How great thou art," right? When Caleb, I'm going to have to pay for this, Caleb, when I get home. When Caleb was in 5th grade in George Nettles Elementary School, Pittsburgh, Kansas, his principal, Mrs. Johnson, came up with an idea. They were going to have a reading contest school-wide, and there was a reward. The reward was that whoever read the most books and had the most points got to make the rules for school for one day. And boy, did they start devouring books, just devouring books. And they just read. And then there was a complaint. Somebody said, wait a minute, I'm looking at this list of books, approved books here, and the book I want to read here is not on the list. I have a complaint. Mrs. Johnson said, don't worry about it. We'll add it. We'll add the points. Keep reading. I'm very proud to tell you, Caleb did win that competition. And for one day, his rule was extra recess for everybody. Everybody, extra recess for everybody. What was the real reward in that exercise? Was it extra recess for everybody? That's what the kids thought. That wasn't the real reward, Mrs. Johnson. Going deeper into that secret place, the real reward was what? The love of what? Reading. Now, if you get there, yeah. See, so it's always deeper. It's deeper. It's deeper. And that's why Jesus is saying, move your focus from all these people and the eyes and the impressions and the social media feeds and who is doing this. Surface stuff. And the worst part is we spend so much time on the surface that we do not do the inside work. And anything that does not come from the inside is not real. It's just surface. The author, N.T. Wright, was spending some time in Israel. And he decided to go for a walk. And as he walked, he became a little hungry. And so he stopped by the roadside, as they do in that part of the world, and somebody was selling chocolate. And he said, now that is a nice treat. I can have a little chocolate with my tea when I get home. And so he bought some chocolate, took it back to the house, brewed his tea, sat down, and opened his chocolate bar with great anticipation of taking a bite and washing it down with tea. Fortunately, he looked down before he took a bite and discovered that his chocolate was alive. with worms. Great on the outside. Paid good money for it. Not good. Not good. What is worse than taking a bite of apple and finding a worm in it? This is a middle school joke. The only thing that is worse than taking a bite of apple and finding a worm in it is taking a bite of apple and finding half a worm in it. Oh, I told you it was a middle school joke. That's a middle school joke. You hang around middle schoolers, you come up with all sorts of things. Seriously, we are being called deeper. We're being called deeper. People have been saying over the past few months that something is different at Westminster. I don't know if you've heard it, but they've been saying it. Something is different. I've been here before. I've circled back. Something is different at Westminster. I don't know what it is exactly. And this is what I've been telling them. It's a secret. It's a secret. It's a secret. It's this work of prayer that we are doing. It's secret. It's secret. And when you go into those secret places and you seek God together, other things begin to play out in public, which they're not being forced. It's just kind of there. And that's what Jesus is talking about. So whether it's almsgiving, whether it's prayer, whether it's fasting, there are all sorts of other disciplines. Go to that secret place. Go to that secret place. And Jesus says, the Father who sees in secret will reward you. And it'll have nothing to do with worms.